Hello, my name is Kirsten, and this video is for anyone who either wants to be a digital nomad, who's aspiring to be a digital nomad, or anyone that's even just daydreaming about being a digital nomad. So I know that there's so much information out there about how to become a digital nomad, how to be location independent, and you probably have read all the articles. This is probably your 10th video you're watching on the subject. But one thing I feel like not a lot of people talk about is the money and the finances and how to properly financially prepare for your move abroad and how to make that transition, especially if you're coming from a 9 to 5 type job. So in this video today, I interview the Mamuchos, who, in my opinion, are two wonderful human beings who are also professional digital nomads who have been traveling the world. They've been to Europe, they have been to Turkey, to Spain, and they are full-time digital nomads. So in this video, you're going to learn how to financially prepare for your move abroad and how to be a digital nomad. You are going to learn how to manage your money while you are a digital nomad, and you're going to learn about some of the cultural differences that might come up as you're traveling around money, because every culture views and uses money a little bit differently than other cultures. This is very big, especially if you're coming from the United States. So enjoy, and I encourage you, if you want to be serious about becoming a digital nomad, comment below which tip or which practice you are going to implement to get you closer to your goal as a digital nomad. And if you want more content around money mindset and how to prepare for your move abroad, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel and just subscribe to the Mamuchos to learn more about how to become a digital nomad. Enjoy! Now. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Kirsten and I'm a money mindset coach for Black women, helping women to work less and earn more so that they can live a life that they love, travel and freedom, and just be their best selves. So I'm so excited today because I have two wonderful nomad, adventurous people with me today. And I'm very excited for them to share with you how they started their nomadic journey. I have Maria and Lilas from the Mamuchos. And if you guys want to introduce yourselves and tell everyone about you.
Oh, you go ahead. Go on.
I always go ahead.
Anyway, I'm Lilas.
I'm Maria.
And we're the Mamuchos. So I guess we got to start from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
It all started because I don't even know where to start from. Where do I start from?
We just travel around the world because we design 1,000 million hours a day and just do that forever. So
when we were in New York City, we worked pretty much like she said, 9 to forever, and we barely had time to spend with each other. And working those kind of shifts, all you're really doing, especially in New York City, you're only paying rent to go to work because you're not even staying in your apartment all that time. So that's all you're really doing. So we made good money. We had a great apartment, but we never spent any time at home or spending time together because of our schedules.
yeah, so the only time that we really had a lot of fun and we loved it was when we were traveling, which we tried to do a lot back then. Every time that we got like 2-3 days off together, which it was really weird, but whenever we had the opportunity, we'll go on a quick trip, or like every 3 months, we'll ask some paid time off to go away. And we just, decided to focus on traveling and traveling together. We needed to create a business that would allow us to remain together as much time as possible.
Yeah, for some context there, we're that cheesy couple that spends every waking second together. It's just what we do. If we were in separate rooms, it's a problem.
Yes. We'll text continuously, and literally that's kind of what we do. Maybe this
or even call each other from the other room, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm coming right now.
I love it. Okay, definitely some couple goals right there. Like travel and couple goals right there. That's awesome. Um, so when you first decided on this like nomadic lifestyle, you know, you wanted to start traveling, what were those? Because obviously a lot of people want to start this lifestyle too, but I think a lot of people that I've worked with, and a lot of people I've spoken to, they're like, what about the money? Like, I don't know if I can afford it. It looks really expensive. So what were some of the thoughts that came up with you guys around money, and what was your biggest concern around money?
Okay, well, I think I'll go, right?
You can.
I can
She's the
answer.
accountant in the family. So
I'm the financial advisor in the family,
I
manager
can't
and
even be
everything.
trusted with my own wallet, so I'll let her do it.
So I think that, you know, even if you're not good at math or you're not good at financial things, you have to make yourself be good at it. Especially if you're by yourself, right? When you are in a relationship, maybe the other person can take on that role, but if not, somebody has to do it. And you both, or the person who is willing to do this or wants to do this, have to prioritize. And if this is really something that you want to do, then you have to eliminate things that we make ourselves believe that we need, but we don't really need them. So what I would say is one of the first things that you have to think is about, what do you really want? Do you really want to be nomadic and travel? Or do you want to keep doing your nails, getting expensive bags, going out on dinners every single night? Like, you have to prioritize and make it happen. So that will be the first step.
Because we're not budget travelers. We don't ever want to try to give up that impression, but we do budget because in a sense we budget for luxury. So we will go without, okay, you know, let's not eat out for the next 2 weeks or for the next month, and we can put that money towards staying in this kind of resort or towards a cruise or something. So that's how we kind of like, in a sense, budget around what we want to do. We know that we can go without, I cut my own hair, even though I don't really have that much left. So it's about those type of things. You got to make sacrifices where you can. And as you continue to learn more about the lifestyle, you learn different ways to kind of, I guess, make money and actually budget around how you travel.
Yeah.
Right. I love that you said that, like, you budget for luxury, because I encountered that a lot when I first started traveling and moving abroad, where people would kind of like do the bare minimum, and they would kind of, you know, I was never one to like, you know, you can stay in some like hostels and dorms for like $10 or $11 a night, but you have to share it with like 20 people. I was never like that. I was like, I like my privacy. So it is possible. It is possible. You don't have to, you know, do the bare minimum to travel, but you do, like you said, have to make those sacrifices and have to prioritize where you're going to put your money.
Correct.
Exactly.
Okay. And so, and it,
from,
go ahead.
I'm from Brooklyn, so I already started. I grew up in the ghetto, not having anything, so I can live bare minimum. That's just, you know, my lifestyle I was used to. So when I do get a little excess, again, this is why I can't be trusted with my own wallet. I might go a little crazy. But it's just about those things where when we started the RV life, I should say, that really showed us how much material things didn't really matter to us, and how much money we put towards those material things that we don't use, we don't need, and we don't even remember that we bought. So when you downsize that way, and then you realize, living in New York, we were paying about $5,000 a month on our rent and food and stuff, and going out.
Just expensive.
Just expensive.
Like, not going out, not anything.
Yeah.
The bare minimum to survive where we were was $5,000 a month.
And when we went to the RV life, we could spend anywhere from $1,100 to $1,800 a month. And that's including going out to eat and enjoying ourselves, stopping in cool places to relax. And it was just that kind of difference that we were like, what the hell were we doing all this time? Just thinking about the money that we don't need, or not money that we don't need, but the material things that we don't need.
Yeah, the expenses that we didn't need.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that just like that perception and that awareness of just like really, what is your cost of living where you are now? And what could it be if you go somewhere else, if you prioritize, if you're not spending so much money to buy the latest things, to have the latest, you know, get your nails done, get everything, you know, that's not necessarily a requirement, or also that's not making you happy too. I think that a lot of people get stuck in just buying things because they want to fit in, or they feel like they have to, but none of those things that they're buying, none of those material things actually make them happy.
I think the problem with the US, honestly, it's just that we have this thing about living in excess in the US. You know, if you got to have like 15 different pairs of sneakers to be able to go out, or some people that have the money got to have a car for each day of the week. We just have this big thing with living in excess in the US, and I think that's where that fear comes when you're like, okay, I got to downsize, but can I really get by with just 4 pairs of sneakers? Yes, you can. It's fine. It's all right.
You only have 2 feet. You don't have more than that.
Exactly. Yes. Oh, and I love that you really talked about that kind of mental shift that happened from living in the United States, where we're like so focused on consumerism and material things, and then living abroad and like, oh wait, I didn't need half of the stuff that I had that I thought I needed in the United States. So what are some, other maybe cultural differences that you have experienced while living outside of the US? Like, do you feel the other countries that you've been to, do they still have that same focus on like, I need the latest whatever? Or do you feel like money may have like a different purpose or a different weight in the countries you've lived in?
You want to go first?
I guess I just add something. Because I was born and raised in Spain, my concept and my view of money is very different from, I'm not going to say you, but the US in general.
Yeah.
And for example, like when I was living in the US, because I lived in New York for a total of 15 years, not continuously, but the last time it was 5 years continuously. And I had a good job. I made really good money. And money that I wouldn't have been able to make in Spain. Let's start from there. Like I wouldn't have made that money in Spain, even if I was, I don't know, maybe working for the government or something, like big money. But to me, one of the things that I always complain living in New York, and when you met me, you heard me saying this, is okay, I have all this, but I can't go out with my friends. And like that was something that would kill me almost on a daily basis, because, well, first, I didn't have the amount of friends that I have in Spain. But second of all, just that, that you have the urge to call somebody and say, let's meet up for a coffee, that doesn't exist in New York. And so the amount of money that I had didn't match with what I needed for my soul and for my social life.
I think that's the other thing too with different outside of the US is just the perspective of the value of social life, I must say.
Yeah.
Like in New York, it's very hard to have that kind of social life, because even if you're making good money and even if you can find the time, that also, you have to think about, does the other person have the time to take off? Because we're all working hard just to basically survive the week, and it's like, okay, you might have the day off, but I don't have the day off. Okay, you're off between, 6 and 8 p.m. I don't get off until 2 or 3 in the morning, and it never matches up. Whereas countries outside of that, like Turkey, Serbia, even Croatia, that social life is really valued. And in Spain as well, that social life is real in Spain, where they have, how long is your lunch breaks in Spain? Like,
I mean, it depends where, but it could be up to 3 hours.
Up to 3 hour lunch breaks? Like, come on. I can go home, take a nap, eat, and then go back to work. And that's the value of it. It's not about killing yourself straight 9 to 5 and forgetting to take a lunch break just so that you can make ends meet. It's not that kind of concept out there. So it's definitely a different perspective, where you have to put yourself first and think about those things that are necessary for you, because killing yourself to just make ends meet is not worth it. The value is totally different outside the US.
Yeah, I love that culture aspect, because I think that, it's so different, like you said, and money does play such a crucial role with how you're able to socialize with your friends, with your peers, depending on where you live. Like here in Spain, I know like I can go out and meet with my friends and I can spend like less than 10 euros and spend like 3 hours with my friends, just because we get like a beer and like tapas, and like it's not going to cost me $50 just to have one meal with my friends. So I think that's a really important concept.
We lost you for a little bit. I'm so sorry.
I thought so. It's okay.
We're trying our internet out here right now, because we're like in the middle of just the water right now.
It's okay. No worries. No, I was just saying that, I think that how money affects like your social life is so crucial, and something I didn't really realize like it was something that was on the back of my mind when I lived in California, and like I wanted, you know, when my friends would want to go out to like Hollywood, then I had to think about like, okay, it's $20 for parking, it's, you know, a minimum drink is going to be like $7, you know, and then it's
If you're lucky.
gas if it's like, exactly, if it's like a dive bar. Exactly. But here, like in Spain, I can go meet with my friends and hang out with them for like 3 hours and spend like 10 euros because I'm going to get like, you know, a beer is $2. I can get some tapas and that's going to be like 5 euros. And I really like that you brought up that aspect of cultural and just
Yeah,
togetherness.
it's different in every country about how we look at it. I have this habit of wherever we travel to, and I know this is because of my upbringing and how I was used to, you know, just having bare minimum. And then I started working for myself and making money and knowing how to spend it. And for me, whenever we go somewhere, no matter what country it is, I have the tendency to try to see the difference in class of where I go. And whenever every country that I've been to, there's only been one country where I say I couldn't really see the distinctiveness in class. I feel like in Turkey, nobody, even though I know there's rich people out here in Turkey, and it's never that feeling where somebody can't come sit at your table. Doesn't matter who you are, it's universal.
I think we froze. Hold on. I think you're frozen. And
Okay, let's try this one more time. So, oh wait, did this freeze again? Oh no, we're good.
No, we're okay.
But yeah, the countries that outside of the US, when I travel to countries, my whole thing is I try to look for the social class. Like I try to see the difference in classes. And as I was saying before, Turkey's the only country where I have a hard time seeing it. I know it exists. Obviously, there are rich people out here in Turkey, but I never feel like it's just overbearing or that anybody feels like they just can't come sit at somebody else's table.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a universal love out here where everybody's welcome. It doesn't matter if you're at the bottom rung or if you're at the top, we all can sit at the same table. Being in Serbia, Croatia, Spain, I can still see the difference in class and also the difference in behaviors in that aspect. And some places are a little bit more, you know, protruding with how that class sticks out, but others are more calm. So, for instance, when we were in, I believe it's Zagreb in Croatia, Zagreb is a beautiful city. And that's another place where I couldn't really see the difference in class, but it seemed like everybody there had the means to live in that city because it's an expensive city. But I know that's not the case. I know everyone can't necessarily afford that city, but at the same time, it just seemed like everybody has the means to it. Whereas I would say, it's like, how do you say that Zagreb was? You said it would remind you of like,
yeah, so Zagreb reminds me of the north of Spain. So just asterisk here, star. When he says it's an expensive city, he doesn't mean expensive as Paris or as New York, okay? But yes, it is like very well kept. You need like, you know, you cannot eat for $5 like we do here in Turkey, for example, because here in Turkey, you eat wonderful food for $5. But in Croatia, in Zagreb specifically, you need a little bit more money to do it. And it reminds me of the north of Spain, so like Asturias or like even the Basque Country in some areas, because it's very well kept, it's beautiful, everybody dressed up really nicely, and like you can feel in the atmosphere. No, I think that in Spain we have a word says that they're señoritos, no, that they're like very well kept, and I think that's how I see Zagreb from my eyes.
So that's just the difference in the classes that I tend to look at everywhere I go to. Like if I can see the difference in class, then I know, okay, I see what that area is about. I know how this area is, and it kind of, you know, dictates the atmosphere of the city that you're in.
Yeah, but something that I always kind of like bring up whenever we have this conversation, because we have this conversation quite a lot actually, is the brands thing, right? So I feel like, to me, what I have experienced in the US is that people love to like show that label and like go around walking with the label everywhere. And in Europe, even if you see people where
Uh-oh.
okay. All right. So I think that something that I have experienced when I was living in the US is the brands and the label culture, right? So I feel like in the US, a lot of people like to like showcase the labels of what they're wearing and everything. And in Europe, it doesn't matter even if you have a lot of money, that's not a behavior that we necessarily have. And you'll see people that has the labels and everything, but it's not like such a focus for us here, right? So for us, it's more like what you were saying, like we keep our posture, like the way that we wear our jewelry, like that's what will tell you that somebody has money.
Yeah, in Spain, women out there, they love their accessories. I think that's
like accessorizing is a huge thing, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to be like super expensive earrings or anything like that, but it has to be matching and it has to make sense with the theme that you are wearing that day. So
you're not going to find guys out there with the big Louis Vuitton belts just walking around or something, Louis Vuitton or Gucci belts. It's not about that.
Yeah. No, but you will see them with like the pink Lacoste t-shirt and maybe like sweater in their neck, something like that.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Like, while in Spain, it's like, yeah, there's not, you can definitely see like there's a coordination to how people are dressed. Like, it's very like stylized and everyone has their, but it's not this like gawky kind of like, look at all the diamond, rings and necklaces, look at my Louis Vuitton. Like, I don't even think I've ever really seen like a mark, like a Louis Vuitton or a Gucci anything really. But it is more about the presentation, the style, and not specifically the brand, which I think is kind of nice because I feel like it's easier to kind of maybe blend in a little bit, when it's not really about the label, but just more of like how you're coordinating your clothes. Like, okay, if I'm matching, if I'm like this, then I don't have to feel like I'm an outsider. I don't have to feel like, a certain way. I can kind of like just blend in with everyone in society. So
it doesn't matter if you got the best like brand on you. If you ain't got no style, they're gonna know.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, you gotta have your own style. You gotta at least have that. That's the minimum. Yeah, when I was in like South America and like Central America, there was this like big disparity, between social classes. Like, you can definitely see the difference in social classes. So I think, it's something to always be aware of. And so it helps you to kind of have a different understanding of the culture and the government and the society, I think, too, when you can kind of see places like it seems like in Turkey, there is this like, I don't know, I haven't been there, but from what you described, it's like there's this overall kind of care for society, it seems, versus like, I've been in like Central America, you see the difference. You see in the US, like you see the difference. Like, if you don't have a lot of money, it definitely shows in more ways than one.
Yeah, it's funny that
I think you can go ahead now and do your part. I will just be right here. Nuclear code app.
Okay. So let's get back to it. Be serious. We're talking about money here.
And you can do that. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, so my experience living in Colombia. So I love that you were mentioning about South America and Central America, because it was very shocking to me what I experienced living there for 5 years, seeing how the cities are divided by something called estratos, which means like levels, I'm guessing. And based on the level that you are, your electricity bills, your water, any kind of not social bills, but like community bills that you have to pay, they can increase or decrease based on the number that you're labeled. But this also affects where your kids go to school. So not like in the US or Spain, where kids will go to the school that is closest to your house or that belongs to your district. In Colombia, what I saw is that you can only apply to certain schools based on your estrato, which I understand the reasoning behind it, but I don't think that it gives equal opportunity to people, because then somebody from a lower status will never be able to go to a higher education because they're not allowed to go. So, you know, fortunately, I wasn't in those low stratus, and like my family wasn't there. Like we were like in the middle high. So I had access to really good schools and things like that. But it's something that never sat down well with me. Like I couldn't deal with the injustice of that. No, but like, you know, I even being spoiled, I was able to see it because it wasn't right. Like, why do I have access to schools that are bilingual with higher chances to go to a really good college, and other kids can't even get like the bare minimum education? Like, I don't think it's right, but it's how it works.
Yeah, and I think that's such a good point that people don't realize, and it is unfair because just because a child doesn't decide where they're born or which status like they're born into. They're just born and to already have that, you know, your life almost predetermined for you. I think it's yeah, and I think kind of going back to like what Lila said, I think that even like your whole concept of money and how to handle money and how to manage money all really starts on like how you were raised. And I've experienced that myself, like even living abroad, when, you know, I went from kind of living paycheck to paycheck, and I like, you know, if I overspent, you know, or whatever, I knew that another paycheck was coming the next month, so I'd be like, okay, whatever, I can you know, spend, I don't know, $100 at the bar or something like that. But then when you're living abroad and you're generating your own income, you're like, oh wait, like I gotta think about this a little bit more, like, because I might have the same amount next month, I might have less, I might have more. So it really takes being conscious and kind of looking at, you know, those old habits that you grew up on and kind of saying like, okay, if I want to live this lifestyle, what old habits do I need to change, or how can I hold myself a little bit more accountable with my money?
Yeah, absolutely.
That was something that we learned in the beginning as well. That was a big thing for us as well in the beginning. You get to a point where it's just the managing part, which again, like I said, she's the accounting. Don't trust me with the money. You have to be able to just hold on to certain things that are important to you, because like you had said earlier, you know, you didn't want to stay in a hostel for that point. I mean, I'm in my mid 30s. I'm looking at 40 right next to me right now. And I know I can't do certain things. I don't want to put myself in certain things. I can't sleep on the floor that much any longer and wake up. It's already hard enough for me to get up from a couch at my age in bad knees. I'm not about to go put my body through more kind of hardship. So you got to know what kind of accommodations you like and the way you like to travel, because some people can do the 15-hour bus rides or do the road trips, backpack life. I'm not about that walking life. I can't even walk for 10 minutes. I'm not doing it. If I don't have to, I'm extremely, I know it might sound crazy, but I'm extremely lazy. If I can teleport, I wouldn't even teleport I would teleport to sit down. I wouldn't bother sitting down. I would teleport myself into the sit down position. That's the kind of lazy level I'm on. I'm on that lazy God level right there.
That's the kind of love I have.
But again, it's knowing what you love, the things that you can't do without, that you feel that you need, because you shouldn't sacrifice everything just to travel. Don't sacrifice the things that you love or the things that bring you peace and in your mental health. So if you need that, you know what, when I go outside of my apartment, I need those trees to be blowing this kind of way to me. I need a pool right next to me. Whatever it is, you know, those are the things that you want to focus on and prioritize. Okay, what do I do to make sure this is how I can always continue to travel? What can I sacrifice that I don't need? If I don't need to eat steak today, if not having this steak, I can save some money to put towards this, so be it. I'll get me some ramen noodles, enjoy that, and think about steak while I'm eating it, so that I can go have my pool and everything else with me.
Yeah, I think there's a huge misconception that if you have a nomadic life, you either have a lot of money that you can do whatever you want, or you're like a backpacker. And the reality is that we're right in the middle, right? Like most of us digital nomads, it's not that we are millionaires, but we find a way to make money so we can pay for the things that we want or we need, but we put things in perspective. And that was like my answer for the first question, is your list of priorities. That's what's going to determine how you're going to live. And how you're gonna make it happen, because you need that
Mm-hmm.
goal, you need that goal setting to go after that, right? Like if I like my
Mm-hmm.
bottle of wine, and I drink a bottle of wine every 2-3 days, then I
Mm-hmm.
know I'm gonna need at least $10 every 3 days. So what is gonna drive me to make
Yes.
those $10 every 3 days, right?
Exactly. Yes. Oh, I love it so much because yeah, you're so right. Like people always think that it's like, okay, you either have to backpack and like bare minimum and like it's okay because you're traveling and you get to see the world, but I have to sleep on the floor or it's I have a lot of money. But you're right, like so many of us that are doing it are living in between. And it is that I remember working with a client one time and I told her, I'm like, what do you need to feel comfortable? Like, do you need your own bed? Do you need, to have, I don't know, a certain number of clothing? Do you need, what are those things that you need? And like budget for that and make sure that you have a job that's going to cover that instead of focusing on, trying to like live in some extreme. Just kind of focus on like what you need, like I said, what you really, really need. And if you need a private, you need a private room, if you need some type of like massage neck pillow thing, whatever, that's okay to need those things, but just make sure that you can budget for that and take off the things that you don't need so that you have money and the time and space for those things that you really want. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, correct.
Oh my goodness. So much helpful information. So is there any other advice? I mean, you guys have already like dropped so many gems, but is any other advice that you would give for people that want to start this digital nomad life and want to travel more, even if you repeat the same thing? Because honestly, I feel like you need to hear things like more than once, so for it to stick. So any other last piece of advice that you want to give to others?
You want to go first?
No, you go first.
Me go first?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I'll go first. I am a big firm believer that we tend to doubt ourselves so much for no reason. Like we can always find a million reasons to doubt ourselves. And those are the things that we focus on when we should find the one reason why we shouldn't, and the one reason why we should do the things that we truly love to do. And we've always had this conversation about the hats that we wear. You can look at people like Da Vinci, who else? Galileo, everybody else. But someone like Da Vinci, he wore multiple hats. He was an engineer, an inventor, an artist, an astronomist. But today, you might not feel that way because the titles that we're given, you feel like you can only get those when you reach a certification or you graduate.
Right.
Like you're not a doctor until you graduate from med school. You're not a lawyer till you get your bar degree. You're not a counselor till you finish your therapy, all this stuff here. But the truth of the matter is that we wear so many hats, but we don't realize it because someone else, an external source, hasn't given us the title. But the truth is, as just YouTubers, we are videographers, photographers, editors, researchers, accountants, social media managers, and marketing, production. And this is just in our field of what we do. And I feel people don't realize how many hats they wear. And because of that, they doubt themselves like, well, someone didn't give me this title. Someone didn't give me this brand that I can do these things. And we wait so long until we get that kind of certification before we actually take the step to go do it. So my advice is for people just to stop doubting yourself. Think about everything that you do, all the hats that you wear in your personal life and in your business life. And then look at yourself and say, I can do this. This ain't nothing when you actually realize that. I'm great with money, but I have her. I'm cool with planning things the way I like to plan, but I like the way she plans things. Just because I can wear all those hats doesn't mean I have to, because I have a great support system. But if you're doing it by yourself, you got to realize how strong you are in the hats that you have and just take those steps and go with it.
Yes, I love that so much. And it was like, I'm with like a group coaching group. So I have a personal coach, and she was talking about a very similar topic of like, a lot of people that want to be coaches or want to do whatever they want to do, they probably have been doing that thing for most of their life. But like you said, they didn't have the title, so they don't think they can do it. And I think that's such a really big mindset shift, is really looking at who you are, what have you done for most of your life, what lights you up. And yes, you can do that. Just because you don't have the title or a piece of paper doesn't mean that you can't do it. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And my piece of advice would be that whatever you do, just to have your passion present in front of you always, because there's going to be a lot of low days, especially when you're outside by yourself in a foreign country where you barely know people. Yes. Yeah, like, yeah, the atmosphere is going to be beautiful because you're at the beach or you are like, I don't know, whatever you are that you like, but you have to remember why you did this. And the only way is to have a clear mindset of what that passion is that is driving you, because that's what's going to drive you on the bad days and the good days.
Yeah, like for us, we didn't start doing this to make an incredible amount of money. For us, success for us is being able to continue living this lifestyle and not having to worry at all. Like, as long as we can continue living this lifestyle, make enough money that we can continue doing this, we're successful.
Yeah.
That's it. Our happiness is what comes first for everything.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I think that's something a lot of listeners can walk away with, of like really defining what success is for them, you know, because it's success, the money, it's success, the, you know, traveling. What is that? And I think, going back to what Maria was saying, it's like that success and then coming back to your why and your passion. And that can be like your North Star, you know, that can be your guiding light. Yes.
That's right.
So is there, so please like let us know, anyone that's listening, like how can other people follow you and support you? Yeah. So where can people find you, connect to you?
Okay, so we have a YouTube channel, we have an Instagram account, we have a Facebook page, we have our own website, and you can find us in all of those with the same handle, and it's the Mamuchos. So THE, the Mamuchos, which is a mix of Spanish words, which is a very cheesy story that we don't have time to tell you today. We'll tell you over coffee or drinks one day, but it's mas without the S, and the muchos of much, so Mamuchos, the Mamuchos. That's who we are, where you can find us. Yes,
and if you ever want to reach out to us, please feel free to. We have this goal that we're trying to achieve of just connecting the world. So we all have tons of different traditions and rituals that we all practice in every country, but we all have tons of similarities that connect us. We all love, care, cry, laugh, care for loved ones, do anything to protect others. So let's connect.
Yay, and I'll link everything in the description below. But thank you guys so much. Yay.
Thank you. This was awesome.
This is great.
Sorry for the Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah.